Hey everyone, welcome back to Rupees Over Ramen, the show where we talk about animation, creativity, the creative process, and tons of other nerdy stuff. Yeah, we're back, and we are talking about Chinese takeout. Yeah, there was a big pause. Chinese takeout, fortune cookies, and Studio Ghibli. This is kind of like a fun episode. I don't know, like growing up, we had Fun Fridays, so that just came to mind. But starting out with Chinese takeout. I don't know. It's very interesting because I thought everyone got Chinese food all the time, but not everyone does. My family does for a lot of things. We got Chinese food for like wedding receptions, like after them and stuff, and then Chinese New Year. And yeah, it's always been a huge part of growing up, going to Chinese restaurants and getting Chinese takeout, getting like chicken lo mein and egg drop soup and crab rangoons. Oh, it's just so good. Such good stuff. And I don't know, it's become like a huge part of who I am. And I think it's important that we see, I know it sounds silly, but it's important that we see where we've come from and see how that inspires and impacts and informs like the work that we're doing, like creative work or the work that we're doing for our job, like the things that have been in our lives, those inform the things that we do. And it's like no man is an island, and the things around you are going to inspire you. Like I was reading the book by Austin Kleon. What is it called? What is that book called? Show Your Work. That's what it's called. I was like, Steal Like an Artist? No, that's his other book. Show Your Work. And he talks about how art is like a collaboration. Even if you're thinking that you're doing it by yourself, it's collaboration of all these ideas, these things that have come together in your mind. And there's like a quote by Hayao Miyazaki that kind of has this same sentiment. And I shared this quote in a newsletter a while back, but it's the creation of a single world comes from a huge number of fragments and chaos. I also shared that in like a college essay, but anyway, fragments and chaos. And sometimes you feel like that's your life. It's fragments and chaos, but those fragments and chaos can come together and be reclaimed. It's like beauty from ashes, or like a phoenix from the ashes. Something great and something amazing can be made from those broken pieces. And with Chinese food, like you guys know, if you often don't finish it all, and then you have leftovers, which are like, I love Chinese leftovers. Like they're the best. They're so good. Especially like, yeah, I don't know. They're just so good. And Panda Express, I know that's not like super like Chinese food, but I love Panda Express. And it's kind of like that comfort food. It's like brings you good vibes, good times. And like, we need those. We need those in life. Like don't feel bad trying to like doing things to treat yourself. Like take care of yourself and make sure that you're doing okay. And with Chinese takeout, like I designed a hoodie that was kind of based on Chinese takeout. It says peace, love, and ramen. And maybe anyone that sees that is like, wait, but that's not ramen, that's like lo mein or something. But, it just worked better on the design, and that's what I wrote. That's what I drew. So that's what it is. Sometimes like art is like that. It's like, I know that doesn't make sense, but that's okay because it's art. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about. And like I said, these are just kind of like free-form discussions, I guess discussion with myself. But yeah, just my stream of conscious thought. So fortune cookies, that kind of goes with Chinese food. And some fortune cookies are better than others, like the taste of them and the fortunes. But there's been a lot of fortunes that I kept, and there's one that I keep in my car, and I look at it often, like usually before getting out of the car, whenever I'm going anywhere. And it says believe in yourself and others will too. And it's something that, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times as artists, like with imposter syndrome and being discouraged, sometimes it's hard to believe in yourself. But when you believe in yourself and when you're confident in who you are, like others will like rally around you and believe in you too. And also there's going to be those times where you're sad and when you're depressed, and that's okay. Like you need to take that time to like the grieving process to grieve, and it's like an inside out. Like you need the sadness in order for the joy to come. And I thought that was such a deep message. I think it's super cool and much deeper than fortune cookies. I wrote a story a long time ago with like fortune cookies, and just, yeah, I don't know. I always thought they were cool because it's like some of them are really weird, like a really weird like Yoda talk proverb or something. You're like, huh? What does this mean? But others you're like, this is so true, and it's just kind of funny. And others they're like, this is about your love life. Like you're going to meet your companion halfway, whatever that means. Yeah, I got that once. But I think fortune cookies are really cool because I don't know how like how they started and stuff, but they're made in like the fortunes are made in a factory and then put into the cookies and sent all over the world to different Chinese restaurants and whatever. And each one's like, there might be they might have like copies of fortunes, but a lot of them are unique, and each fortune that you get is a different fortune. Each cookie you get is a different fortune. And I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting concept. It's like how far they go and who they reach and who reads it. I don't know. It's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, I digress. And finally, like talking about Studio Ghibli, this is kind of like the focus I wanted to have with this episode. And, you know, like sometimes you're talking about something or you have an idea and it feels like you don't even know like what you're talking about. And that's okay. Like that's, I think, how a lot of main characters start out. They're like, how am I going to do this? Like, how is this going to work out? Like, how does this even make sense? Like, what am I going to do? Like with Howl and Howl's Moving Castle. He's has this huge problem. There's a war going on. It's like, should I help? Like, what should I do? Like, what stance should I take? Because I'm kind of on both sides of the fight and I'm seeing it from both sides. So, like, life is hard and making decisions are hard. But with Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki is a huge inspiration to me. I've been wanting to do, like, more videos and stuff on Studio Ghibli stuff. I've done some on, like, Over the Garden Wall and stuff, and that's been really fun. But Studio Ghibli has, like, this new, I don't know, it's just this different take on things. It really shows, like, fantasizes and brings wonder to just the normal moments of life, like putting on your shoes. If you guys know what I'm talking about in Spirited Away, Chihiro puts on her shoes in such a way that she like taps them on the ground as she puts them on, and it's just this little like chef's kiss, like so good little detail that just feels so good. He has a lot of interesting thoughts, and one of them that I wanted to share, it's a quote. He says, "I become skeptical of the unwritten rule that just because a boy and a girl appear in the same feature, a romance must ensue. Rather, I want to portray a slightly different relationship, one where the two mutually inspire each other to live. If I'm able to, then perhaps I'll be closer to portraying a true expression of love." And I think that's really cool. Like, inspiring each other, like mutually inspiring each other, that's closer to a true, possibly closer to a true expression of love. And I think that's true. Like, loving and supporting others, it's inspiring each other and edifying and strengthening each other. And you see that throughout Studio Ghibli films, like main characters that strengthen and help each other. And yeah, it's just, and he says, like, I would like to make a film to tell children it's good to be alive. And there's this one quote, it's in The Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness, which is a super cool film about Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli and the process. And his process is one that super, super inspires me. Like, he's done storyboards that are like watercolored beauty, like just pure perfection, like looks so good. And a lot of his stories, he hasn't even totally written them down. It's just kind of figuring them out visually. And this quote is kind of about that. He's looking out a window and he's like, you see that rooftop? From that rooftop, what if you leapt onto the next roof, dashed over to the blue and green wall, jumped and climbed up the pipe, ran across the roof, and jumped to the next? You can in animation. When you look from above, so many things reveal themselves to you. Maybe race along the concrete wall. Isn't it fun to see things that way? And I think that's really cool, like seeing things in a different way, looking out that window and being like, hey, like, what if someone was running on that roof and just going and doing their thing, running along that concrete wall, jumping and doing tricks and stuff? Like, you can do that with animation, looking out that window or looking at a building, walking around and seeing the wonders that you can tell in a story, I think is super cool in how Hayao Miyazaki sees the world. And there's another quote that I think is super cool that he shares when talking about his process. He says the characters, because I love character design and creating characters. I've created characters for like the Uptown Warriors and for the Tanuki Hero story that I've been telling on Medium. But the characters are born from repetition, from repeatedly thinking about them. I have their outline in my head. I become the character, and as the character, I visit locations of the story many, many times. Only after that, I start drawing the character. But again, I do it many, many times, over and over, and I only finish just before the deadline. And I'm like, oh, thank you, because I relate to that. Finishing right before the deadline, I think we all kind of relate to that. It's like, wow. And I think it's cool how we have these amazing animators and directors and people that we can learn from and look up to. And like Andy J. Pizza talked about, we did like a little illustration, like standing on the shoulders of giants. I don't remember who actually said that quote, but standing on the shoulders of giants and being able to have those awesome people that can inspire us and help us to be better creators and to imagine amazing worlds, amazing characters and stories, and to tell those stories and impact people and change their lives. And it's just been really cool to see how animation and life itself, like experiences, I think there's something to be said about making those memories and the little wonders around us, like having joy in those little moments, like that time with family at a Chinese restaurant or grabbing McDonald's right before midnight. It's just those good times with friends and family, and hold on to those moments and keep making those moments. Have fun, and I gotta go to bed. So see you guys later. Peace.